It's time to wander the world with Sharon. Enjoy this Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Sharon K. Kurtz. Welcome, everyone. It is time to go around the world with Sharon. But if you're here in the United States, we're not going to cross over any international borders, but we're going to take a drive to Philadelphia region. We're going to go to Chester County, which is to the Brandywine Valley, and this area is gorgeous. Nancy and I had opportunity to visit this region a few times during the pandemic, actually, and go to Longwood Gardens and all these amazing places. Some were open, some were not, but it was spectacular. And Sharon, you finally got there. And this is a finally, isn't it?
It is absolutely true. I can't believe I was raised in Ohio, right next to Pennsylvania, but way on the western edge. And so I don't know how it is in my life that I've never been to Pennsylvania. So I'm a garden lover. And so when this opportunity came, I mostly came for the gardens, but I was just blown away by the whole region.
It's got a lot of history, Revolutionary War history, right? Isn't that kind of a trip? I mean, you're coming out of Texas now, where you've got a lot of Civil War history, Mexican-American, there's so much history, but going to the Revolutionary side is pretty old for us.
I fought the Battle of Brandywine here in 1777, and it was a pivotal battle. Americans lost, but it still was pivotal in their fight, and we went on to win the war. So it's not who won the battle, it's who wins the war.
Oh, it's about the journey then, the bigger picture, right? So yeah, you got to lose some sometimes to gain some on the other side. But yeah, I remember that battlefield. I think we went, and for some reason it was closed, but again, it was during the pandemic, and we wanted to go there, but we ended up in a state park, and then I think we crossed over into Delaware somehow.
Yes, it's so close. On this trip, it was about gardens, and it was one main thing. So we did go into Delaware to go to the Winterthur Decorative Garden and House. It was a DuPont property. And then we went to Nemours. So those are kind of just barely over into Delaware. So it's all part of the Brandywine Valley.
And the DuPonts were really instrumental also at Longwood Gardens, as I recall.
That's right. So DuPonts, they were French. And they came over before the French Revolution because they were warned, don't stay much longer. Bad things are happening. So I think their friend was Thomas Jefferson. And one of the founding fathers said, we need gunpowder. We need gunpowder that's smokeless so they won't see us coming. And so they developed the patent for gunpowder. And that's how they developed such immense wealth when they moved here to the U.S.
Wow. Because, they gave towards the botanical gardens. They have their houses on display. And the other famous person that I did not know or forgot somehow is that Andrew Wyeth is from that region, right? The artist. I mean,
that's
huge.
That's another reason why I came. I've always loved the Wyeths. They're like they're like American dynasty of painters. And they're from the Brandywine Valley. And in my house, I have a framed print that Andrew painted. I have a sketch that his sister Henrietta painted, and I have a coffee table book of Andrew's paintings in my house. So it was incredible to go to that museum. And what else was really cool is, N.C. Wyeth was the founder of this painter dynasty, and he was an illustrator. So he illustrated Treasure Island. Remember that?
Yeah,
he did. And with his earnings from that, he bought like 150 acres there in the Brandywine Valley. And now they all have their paint studios that you can go visit. And we went to visit N.C. Wyeth's studio, which is the biggest and grandest, because Andrew was kind of shy and wasn't very talkative, but N.C. Wyeth was like larger than life, and his studio was as well.
Man, that is so cool to be able to go and witness that, right? And the region kind of gets you to understand his painting as well.
Yes, and when I went, I love his work. So anywhere I looked, any landscape, I could envision that he used it in a painting. One reason it is so beautiful, I discovered, is that 40% of the properties are in a conservatory, nature conservatory. So you don't see a housing development just everywhere. Like someone doesn't want to get rid of their family farm and it becomes houses. No, this conservancy buys it and keeps the land natural. And that's why it's so beautiful.
That's awesome. Because it's very pastoral.
It is. It is so gorgeous. And they have a covered bridge trail and they have wineries and it's horse country. So they play polo there and they have big farms with it beautiful with horses out to pasture.
Man, so wineries, I know you had to go for Nancy and I, right? And
I
stop
did.
at a winery.
I
Just,
did. That was my first stop. I said, I got to do this
yeah.
research.
So that was in Chad's Ford, right? That
Yeah,
the winery.
Chatsford Winery. It's historic. It's like one of the oldest buildings in the area. And we had a wine tasting, and it's a wonderful, big, rambling property with a barn. And it's kind of place where you go on the weekends and you just hang out all day, let the kids play. They have music at night, and they have Pinot Noir they're known for, Chardonnay, and
Oh,
also
wow.
in the fall, I understand they have the spiced apple kind of wine that is
Mm.
like one of their best sellers.
Oh, wow. So a nice little place to hang out.
Yeah, it
Sounds like
was.
fun and pretty, you know? So you got flowers, you've got wine, and then Kennett Square. I remember going around there again in the pandemic, so everything was still kind of open, close, you know, it was interesting time for everyone. But that Kennett Square region is gorgeous to me and charming. It's just very idyllic. You know, it's like when you go there, you go, I want to live here. This is
Yeah.
like quality of life. But
In Texas, we don't have huge, tall trees. Like around my house, there's cedars, there are live oaks that are small and sprawly. But here, there were gigantic trees everywhere. And then in these old little towns, they're tree lined. So the trees cross over the street. And his buildings are all historic. Like it was in the 1800s, it was a tavern, and now it's had a clothing shop. And so they're all wonderful, unique architecture and these trees. And then in the pandemic, when you couldn't be close to one another, you used to close down the streets and let restaurants put out their tables.
yeah,
Well, they never stopped that. On the weekends, they closed the street in Westchester where we were, and all the restaurants bring out their tables, and kids are playing, and umbrellas are out. It
that's nice.
was charming.
That is quality of life. Now, I wanted to talk about this mushroom capital.
Square.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah, Kennett Square.
So we stayed in Westchester, and very close to it is Kennett Square. That's where Longwood Gardens is as well. But Kennett Square is known as the mushroom capital of the world.
I did not know that when I was there.
Is incredible. So we went to this wonderful Phillips mushroom company and had a wonderful lesson on mushrooms. And we went to like a little museum where they showed us live mushrooms, how they work. And so the story is like in the 1800s, Quakers came over, and there were these Quakers that were florists. That's how they made their money growing flowers. I think they were carnations, but they were looking for a bigger crop. And so they experimented and discovered that mushrooms like it here. It's good soil, it's a perfect temperature. And so they started experimenting. And then over time, Italian immigrants came that are really good workers, and they got into it too. And so it's a combination of great soil and weather and workers and rails. And now 60% of the world's mushrooms are grown right here in Kennett Square.
That's insane. I had no clue. I mean, because mushrooms are good and mushrooms are on the rise of people finding out how healthy and beneficial they are for our bodies.
We had the best learning experience about them. They're so good for you, and they're doing science with them and discovering how many things that they can help us with. And there's so many ways to prepare them and so many varieties. So it was great. I wished I could have stuffed my bag full of mushrooms to bring it home.
I know, I think you mentioned in your article, and Sharon's got a link in the episode notes to her article about her experiences. You brought up saying, the food and everything was great in the area, but the mushroom soup, I'm like, I'm a sucker for a good mushroom soup.
My gosh, we had everywhere we stopped, you can imagine, they serve mushrooms because they're fresh. They literally were picked like that morning, probably. And we had mousse, this mushroom mousse that was just like, it was just buttery and the best. But the mushroom soup is what got me. It is so good. So I had it like lots of times when I was there. And in 4 days, I had lots of mushroom soup.
Well, then you're healthy. Now, do they do the other mushrooms? I had to bring that up. Do they do the happy magic mushrooms?
We didn't discuss the other mushrooms.
Well, I just thought after your Oakland, California experience, you might want to check out the other side. I don't know. I was going to ask because if I don't, I know someone's yelling at me over this. But let's talk about Longwood Gardens because this is all part of actually being America's garden capital as well.
Yeah.
So you got mushrooms.
They have 30 gardens and 30 miles there in the region. 30 public gardens.
That's a lot.
So we went to Winterthur and to Needmore, but Longwood Gardens is undescribable. And it was founded in the 1800s by a land grant. The Pierce family bought it from William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania. It was like a land grant. So it was their farm. And then over the generations, it just was untenable. They didn't want to do it anymore. But their sons over the generations had kept growing, bringing in tree species, and the trees are huge and so beautiful. So at some point they were going to sell, and it came for sale, and someone was going to buy it just to clear cut the trees. Would have been and so the DuPont family, this industrial, said, I'm not going to let that happen. So he bought it in like 1906, and then eventually opened it to the public in 1922. I think it is. And it is the most glorious, amazing garden.
I mean, all the fountains. Did you find the fountain? Because I thought the fountains were out of this world. There.
And now they keep reinventing areas of the gardens. So a few years ago, the original fountains from when DuPont put them in, the pipes didn't work anymore. They were leaking. And so they cleared the whole area and started over. And now they have these festival of fountains, they're called. So they're color displays where the fountains are coordinated with music. And they have that. It's called the Festival of Fountains. And it was incredible. So it's just like behind your head, beautiful and clear. And then also at night, colorful, crazy displays.
And they had like a meadow area. They had all kinds of flower gardens. Oh my gosh, the flower gardens were. And they had an orchard. I think they were showing off some of the older apple trees from their region.
And they have a wonderful, like, a casual restaurant, like a beer garden on the property where they have live music. And they make beer there out of the apples and the fruits on the property. And they have the conservatory where they can grow all year round. And so I learned it's not correct to say it's a botanical garden. It's a display garden. So they keep up to date. There's beautiful tulips in the spring. And then there's chrysanthemums in the fall, and they move the flower displays like overnight. They have 500 volunteers there.
That's a lot.
So we asked them, how in the world do you keep this up? And DuPont left them a legacy, an endowment. And then through ticket sales and volunteers, they are able to keep bringing more things in and reinventing. So it's incredible.
Awesome.
I always wanted to go, and I can't believe it took me this long, but no one else should wait so long. You should all go to Longwood Garden.
I agree. When we were there, it was like this beautiful surprise, and they were staggering their reservations, and again, COVID time. And it was just so like refreshing. The colors were just amazing. We went to the little beer garden area. That was cool. Yeah. But the conservatory, actually, a summer storm rolled in. And so we all went in the conservatory and saw all these beautiful tropical plants. And yeah, I love Longwood Gardens. So
they renovated their water lily garden. Now they added a conservatory. So now there's this open space and they've got beautiful water lily garden there. It's just really something. And also they used to have a restaurant, 1906, but they renovated it. And I think it opened last fall, maybe November, and now it's fine dining right in front of the fountains. After you're done, you can go up to the top of I forget what you call that thing where you watch from above, and that's
like a tower.
Yeah, we watched the fountain display, Festival of Fountains from there.
Nice. Now, I wanted to ask you too about where you stayed, because I know you were in Westchester, but where did you stay? Because I mean that area, there's so much. You want to be central.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out. Our host was Nina Kelly with Brandywine, Chester County's Brandywine Valley. And we stayed in Westchester at the Hotel Indigo. It's a new hotel. It's only been there like since last fall. And it's a beautiful, like a boutique property right off of this main street that I told you where they open up the streets, on the
Oh,
weekends.
nice.
It was a beautiful property to stay. And then Kennett Square was only like half an hour away. So
Oh,
it's a beautiful area with lots to see.
so easy to walk to if you want to go downtown or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this hotel, they have a side street with an entrance and a front right on the street, and you just walk out your door and you're there. And
So
many restaurants.
The restaurants, I know you were talking about Tallulah's Table, and you said you have to book a year in advance.
Oh my gosh, we've met so many great people. I really like to write about women's businesses, women entrepreneurs, and this is one of them. Tallulah's Table, it's kind of like an Italian takeout deli with fresh bakery items and cheeses and meats, but also they have these long farmers tables too in the restaurant. And at night, it's like you have to book those 2 tables, one of the 2, a year in advance, a year. And you book the whole table. So if you're lucky enough to get a reservation, you get all your friends together, you bring your own beer, wine, whatever you want to drink, and it's just the most wonderful experience. So that was incredible. And then we met an ice cream maker. It's called Nico Chana. I'm going to say that wrong. It's a Mexican word, but she makes incredible ice creams. She even makes ice pops, icicles, and a mushroom flavor. I did not try it.
But you never know. It might be
You
good.
never
I mean,
know.
you think about gelato. Not gelato, gazpacho, excuse me. Let me get the right G's here. So the gazpachos, I mean, it's going to be kind of like that, maybe very refreshing.
Yes, like I tried, one of her best-selling flavors is corn ice cream. And it was so good. I agree. And then they had avocado ice cream.
I've had that. Good.
Really? It was really good. So, we had just eaten at Tallulah's Tables like a cheese platter, and we were so full, but I must have had, like, when you add up at least 5 big spoonfuls of flavors to try, that's at least a scoop. So,
well, hey, but the avocado is interesting because it does make it creamy and refreshing. I had it in Fallbrook, California, which is the avocado capital near San Diego. So that's where we had that. But because they have a festival and everybody has a cooking challenge to go through, Now, what's going on at this Nomadic Pies? Because
that was another one of my favorite. I'm going to write about her for sure. She's this young lady, and during the pandemic area, she was just like right out of school, and she started making pies, and she started delivering them like door to door. And then she got a vehicle, and it was an old thing, and she got racks and went around. So we had 3 pies. They were like this big, again, before lunch. So we ate all the time, and we had apple, we had strawberry rhubarb. She also has savory pies, chicken pot pie, and we had a chocolate pie. So they were the best pies. Molly is her name. You have to go to I'm going to say this wrong.
It's Nomadic Pies. That's cool. Now, pies, wine, oh my gosh, farm to table, ice cream. Okay. This is good. The mushrooms. Okay. Now, that was the other thing I really wanted to bring up is Baldwin's Book Barn.
Oh my gosh. You know how sometimes when you travel, you just don't know what you're going to find. And Nina, we passed this wonderful old place with a stone barn looking place. And she said, oh, that's Baldwin's Book Barn. So we like bookstores, Karen and I, and we stopped in. This is the most wonderful place. It was an old dairy barn, and Mr. Baldwin collected and sold books. So he bought this old dairy barn, and he had so many books, used rare books and just used books, that he had to build 3 more stories. So it's a 4-story old barn, and it's got a potbelly stove in it, and it's got like oriental rugs running down these crazy rooms. And it was so charming.
That's cool.
Yeah, people come from all over the country to visit Baldwin's Book Barns because you know how people love bookstores.
Oh, yeah.
Unique ones.
And they're coming back. Books and print and vinyl. Yeah, we got to still have some of our treasure.
So that was a hidden gem. I never thought we run into a place like that. And another place that's interesting, we didn't get to see it, but they have an accommodation where only like 8 rooms, but it's called, maybe I'll put this in the show notes, the Book Stop. And every room is like a library. Your room is in a library, and there's books everywhere.
For like a bed and breakfast kind of place?
Yes, it's a bed and
Oh,
breakfast
very
kind of
cool.
place.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So you've got artists, you've got flowers, you've got wine. You talk about chasing fireflies in a garden, and that makes me happy. So
There's one more interesting thing we found, when we were talking about the artist in the area. Well, we went to this museum, and it's called the Wharton Eschrick Museum.
Yes.
It was a man, Wharton Eschrick, and he's like a Renaissance man. He was like he painted and he built out of wood, and he built his house, and he built furniture, and he's called the father of the studio furniture movement. This crazy house, there wasn't a single, is now his museum. There's not a single right angle in any of these structures. And they showed us he used to build like these library stairs and stools. And now a library stair is in a museum, and it's worth $500,000. So he is like this. He wasn't formally trained to be an architect or a painter or a woodworker, but yet he's
a designer.
Amazing. And his work is in Atlas Obscura. Do you know that?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So that's one thing.
That.
He's a hidden gem. So we went to out of the way place to his house. We got to walk up these crazy rickety steps and look at all his things. That was really cool.
So art, history, wine, really good food, really good lodging, mushrooms. Man, so did you feel like it was a whirlwind for the time you were there? Because it feels like there's a lot more there too, if you want to go shopping and things like that.
Yeah, you need more than, I think we had, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 nights, but really you need more time than that to really do the area justice, especially if you want some nice time at Winterthur and at the French Gardens at Nemours and Longwood Gardens. But we just had a taste of it. And they say in the fall it's gorgeous, and the weather is certainly more temperate than, Austin, Texas. So you can go in the summertime. And so I recommend it as a destination. I don't know how it is that I hadn't got there, but I did finally, and everybody else needs to go too.
Yeah, it just, it's always one of those, I haven't been there yet, Also, everyone, there is brandywinevalley.com to go and visit to plan your trip up to Chester County in the Brandywine Valley. Again, also Sharon's link is there and for her article, and you can keep up with her at SharonKKurtz.com. She is here every first Wednesday and on other Big Blend radio shows because we have way too much fun.
I know.
It's cool. All right. So where's next?
We leave for Alaska tomorrow.
Dude.
We're doing an Alaska. We go to Vancouver tomorrow. It's an Alaskan cruise on Holland America from Vancouver to Whittier, which is right there by Anchorage. So we make all the stops, and then we continue and go down on the Alaskan Railroad with the domed cars with so you can see everywhere, down to Seward to take one of those glacier boat tours.
That is exciting. And you got me so excited. I said, dude, became Californian again, but it is exciting. And I know you're not a dude, so I apologize, but I get excited about these things. Alaska to me is the last frontier, and it's just it's the moose. I want to see the moose and the whales and the eagles and caribou.
It's the wildlife. It's the last wild frontier.
That's it. Exactly. Not just the last frontier, the wild one. Well, have fun and don't do anything we wouldn't do.
I'll leave those mushrooms alone. I can't tell you why I won't have a glass of wine or two.
Okay. Well, have the wine. That's good.
All right.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Wander the World with Sharon podcast. You can keep up with Sharon's adventures at SharonKKurtz.com. Follow Big Blend Radio at BigBlendRadio.com. Happy travels!